2018 is the year Nigerians are even more vigilant than ever, as it marks the year after we scaled through a first-of-its-kind economic recession. A recession we found ourselves in for our over-dependence on imported products and for giving less attention to our innate abilities to make products by us and for us. Tonight on Moments, we meet Nigerians who are making made-in-Nigeria products, and they talk to us about what it entails and how they've been able to do it successfully. Welcome to Moments.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Moments Nigeria, and today is all about Made in Nigeria as we celebrate local manufacturers who are creating fabulous products. Our first guest is Femi Oyedipe, who is the owner of Loshes Chocolate, and that's a Nigerian chocolate making company which provides an alternative to imported chocolates from pure local resources. How exciting! Welcome,
it's so
Femi.
exciting. It looks so tasty. I'm just eyeing it.
I know, right? It's difficult to focus right now.
We'll get to taste some after the show.
Okay. I hope so. I'm going to hold you to that. But, you know, let's get straight to the crunch of it. Why chocolate in Nigeria?
Well, I think it started off from not being fulfilled in terms of my career. After doing so many years in human resources and putting a lot of effort into it, I still didn't get what I thought I would. My expectations were not met in that sense. So I just thought, what could I do? I lived a bit for about 3 years in Ghana, and I started baking, which was more of like therapeutic for me. So I used to make desserts, and when I have maybe girlfriends come over, I just do like desserts and we just have fun, and people started ordering my desserts. So anyway, I moved back to Nigeria in 2014, got a good job, well, relatively good, but after like 2 years, I was just not happy anymore. I was just dissatisfied with everything. So when I was about to land a job, which was like from with an American-based telco company, that didn't work out. Like I got to the final stage, but that didn't work out. So I was really, really depressed. So instead of like sulking, and
chocolate is good for depression.
Exactly. Instead of sulking, I just thought about it. I said, what could I do? And my hubby mentioned to me chocolates, because I'd worked with chocolates before, with desserts. But I told him, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it from the bean to the bar. And I did a bit of research and found out that in Nigeria, not much was going on in that regard, as in producing chocolates from Nigerian cocoa beans. So I felt if I added value, maybe one day I'll become successful. You know?
And now here you are. Here's such an inspiring story. So I want to talk about the actual, process, because a lot of people are dissatisfied in their jobs and they have this dream, but they don't really know how to go about accomplishing it. So how did you go about learning, how to make the chocolates, the actual hands-on process?
Well, undergrad was biochemistry, so I had a bit of experience in terms, knowledge in terms of chemistry and the science of making, or the science of understanding how food is digested in the body. So, and I did a lot of, so what I did was I bought a lot of books, got my first bag from Oyo State. And that, for the first year of the business, I was just making chocolates and giving it out to people.
So your first bag, you mean of cocoa beans?
Of cocoa beans, yes.
Okay, how did you even find where they sell cocoa beans?
Oh, we have farms in Nigeria. You'll be shocked at how much cocoa beans that is being produced in Nigeria.
But most of it is exported to other countries.
Yes, most of it's exported, but we have a lot of cocoa beans in Nigeria. So I traveled to Oyo State by road. I traveled to Ondo State by road, went into the farms, into the interiors, and tried to establish like relationship with the farmers. And then I finally got my first bag. And I remember that year, the entire year, I was just sampling. I had huge experiments, failures. Yes, it was interesting, but also sometimes I would cry because I'm like, and people would eat the chocolates and then they'd be like, oh, okay, now this. The feedback was good for me because I was able to tweak what I was doing, and then understanding the process of making chocolates is a science, really, and every stage actually influences the taste of the chocolate. Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there, but when you were talking about the different flavors and the taste testing, I was like, I'd have liked to be one of your tasters at the time.
Yes.
But I know that your chocolates are quite unique because you have some of them have pepper in them, and
yes,
you have different flavors. So can you talk to us about your unique flavors that you have in your chocolates? Yeah,
we try to infuse the Nigerian bit to it to give it a bit of character. Most of our chocolates are not, all our chocolates are not, we don't have additives or preservatives in them. Okay. So it's strictly from the bean.
So technically, it's like eating a salad. Because you're eating the cocoa bean,
no,
right?
you're pushing it, but it's like, I would say it's like the healthiest sort of chocolate you can eat. Okay. Because we don't have additives or substitutes in them. So like the white chocolate is made from cocoa butter, which is gotten from the bean. Nice. And cocoa butter is premium fat, or fat and oil. Aside the milk and sugar you add to your milk chocolate, so that's the only thing that is added into the chocolates if we are making the milk or the white variant of chocolate. Right. So it's the healthiest form of chocolate you can eat anyway. So so our unique flavors, we try to infuse a bit of the Nigerian thing into it. So we put atarodo, like
that must be quite hot.
Well, it's, you know, cocoa has a very intense flavor. So it's most times it hits you at the back of your tongue when you're just, you know, so it's just, the sensation is actually, people say it's sexy, but
if we're going to take it there.
But anyway, but it's interesting because cocoa is intense. The flavor is intense. So if you have it in dark chocolate, the chili in dark chocolate, it would just be really nice, and you know, you enjoy the flavors. It's like it bursts in your mouth.
I'd love to know, you know, while we're talking about kind of, you know, infusing local elements and so forth, how did you find your niche? Because you obviously had to compete with very well-established international brands. How have you been able to corner your own space in the market?
Well, initially when we started, we didn't start off with this sort of, you know, packaging where it's really personal. We came up with the customization. So you can order a bar of chocolates and give a Loshes chocolate bar as a gift. As opposed to other products in that regard. Yes. So so Loshes bars, people put their pictures on the packaging as a gift.
That's a nice touch.
They put so the packaging serves as a card. So you have a message inside. You have a picture of wherever you want to put on top of it, and then it's a gift. So we created that sort of unique service, so we were able to enter into the market, and also we're able to create gourmet chocolates for people based on their taste preferences. People say, oh, I want almonds, pistachios, and infused in the chocolate, and we do that. We did some with plantain. By the way. Yes, that's really nice. Yes,
that's plantain. And the plantain was fried?
No, grilled.
Grilled, okay.
In the oven.
So it's like little chips.
So we know. So what we do, we chop them into like tiny, tiny squares, and then we grill them, and then we infuse them into our pralines. So people actually have unique taste, and we're able to do that because we make it from the bean to the bar.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And do you think you would ever be exporting? You know how we're big on Swiss chocolates,
yes,
like all those different brands like Lindt. Can you see your chocolates, Loshes chocolates, going abroad and
definitely
being in different countries?
Definitely, and it would be interesting for them to see how Nigerian cocoa beans can taste and how our chocolates taste, because Nigeria has to be on the chocolate map. We have a lot of cocoa beans in our country, so why not have us on the chocolate map all over the world?
I love it. I love it. What a fantastic story. Beautiful products. Packaging is on point.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and for your story.
Thank you.
I pray that your market grows, and everybody, where do we catch you on social media? Or
yes, it's Loshes Chocolate on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We've got a website, www.losheschocolate.com. And you can always call us on 09031942514.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Femi.
Thank you very much.
Wow, we are celebrating all things made in Nigeria. Make sure you go out and get yourself some Loshes chocolate. Now, when we return, we meet our second guest. I'm excited about her because she's a Zimbo like me. We'll see you shortly.
Welcome back to Moments Nigeria. Today we're talking all about made in Nigeria products, and we are joined by Victoria Mendel. She's a Zimbabwean-born engineering graduate with an MBA from the University of Cape Town in South Africa. She spent many years in the corporate sector throughout Africa before settling for fashion and designing, making quality leather and wooden jewelry products. Welcome to Moments, Victoria.
Thank you very much for having me.
I feel like I have a sister here.
I know. I wasn't expecting to see a fellow Zimbo. And
I also went to UCT as well, so I feel very attached to your story.
What a coincidence.
I know, right? Exactly.
So Victoria, I want to talk to you about, being from Zimbabwe and then moving here to Nigeria and then producing your goods locally, was there anything you had to, we always talk about the Niger factor. So was there anything that you had to sort of get used to in order to start production and start retailing your products?
Well, I'd been here for several years by the time I started doing this, so I think I'd got fairly used to the Niger factor and how things operate. But you're quite right; it is a unique market. Let's put it like that. And one has to have patience, I would say, and determination to get going here.
And you're coming from a corporate background, and now you use your creativity to earn a living. What's that transition like?
Well, it wasn't completely planned, I must admit. I was working in the oil industry, and with there being a downturn, I knew my time was limited. Yeah. So I started looking into other opportunities, and a friend of mine was making leather handbags at the time, and she had all these off-cut pieces of leather, and she just said to me one day, I've always wanted to do jewelry, but I'm so busy with the handbags, I never really get round to it. So I think I'm going to throw this leather out, all the scraps. And I said, oh, no, wait, don't do that. let me see what I can do with it. And that was how it all got started. Oh, wow. And I was working in quite a regimented role, in the corporate environment, as I said. So to transition from that into something completely creative was easier than I thought it would be.
Oh, really? I thought it would be very daunting.
It's funny, I started creating things, and I just found the more I did, the more ideas I came up with, and the more I wanted to do. Yeah. Whereas, going into work every day had become the drudgery of it was not exactly very inspiring. Yeah. Whereas this was something completely different, and it was something that I actually wanted to get up and do in the morning.
I can imagine, and it seems like you have a passion for it, but I also want to talk about how you made it into a business, because it's one thing to sort of think, oh, I'd love to make handbags or jewelry or kitchen utensils, like we have some coasters and things here, but how did you sort of make it a profit-making venture?
Well, I'm still in the process of doing that, but I started off just going to, various markets and fairs and that type of thing, because obviously, as a small business, you don't necessarily want to proceed and rent out a hugely expensive premises, and, before you know it, you're in debt up to your eyeballs. So I started off like that, and I've started supplying various stores around Lagos. I'm on Jumia and selling online, that type of thing. So what I've tried to do is keep my overhead costs fairly low until I can sort of get a bit of a foot up and get the business going. And
So you mentioned, I'm quite keen to hear more about the leather offcuts that you came across, and I see you do use quite a lot of leather. There's wood as well. How did you figure out where to source all the raw products? Because I'm assuming everything is sourced locally, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that journey.
It took a lot of hunting around the markets and trying to find reliable suppliers. That was probably one of the biggest difficulties that I've faced. Trying to get consistency in your produce, and I think just trying to explain to people you need to have a consistent product. I often use the example that people don't necessarily go to McDonald's because the food is wonderful, but they know that they're going to get the same thing every single time.
That's true.
And we need to keep up our standards if we want Nigerian products to be a success, particularly in the global market.
Most definitely. Well, Victoria, I'm just looking at your earrings, jealously admiring them. Your products definitely are a hit. Thank you so much for joining us and for talking us through your journey from the corporate world into the creative industry.
Where do we find your products quickly before we go? I know we have to round up.
Oh, well, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Jacaranda Craft.
Fantastic. We'll definitely be checking you out. Well, our next guest is Salihat Rahaman. She's the owner of Abayalagos, an Arabian-inspired contemporary fashion label targeted at the upwardly mobile working woman. You get to meet her after this short breather.
Welcome back. This is Moments Nigeria, and we continue to showcase the best of the best as we take a look at Made in Nigeria products today. Now, our next guest is Salihat Rahaman, and she is the creator of Abayalagos label, which is a luxury Arabian-inspired brand for classy ladies, and it includes turbans, kimonos, jackets, kaftans, scarves, and plenty more. She has a bachelor degree in environmental studies and a master's degree in environmental design in architecture, but her love for arts led her to fashion. Very warm welcome, Salihat.
Welcome to Moments.
You embody your brand. You were so regal as you sit there.
Majestic.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Tell us about your journey going from environmental design. It was environmental design, right?
Well, it was, architecture design.
Yes.
So, Abayalagos started pretty much about 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
Funny enough, I was just contemplating carrying my natural hair.
Okay.
And because of the nature of my work, there wasn't any time to tie things around my head and, make it look cute and all that. And so I just thought, why not just do something, make something that I can put on that is not really a hat, but it's not, and it sort of blends with our cultural identity. And that was how the turban started.
Oh, wow.
And then shortly after that, I was in Beirut for some work. And I just noticed how vibrant the fashion was. And I thought, this is kind of like what we do here. This is like Nigerian African fashion. And I thought, why not just sort of blend the two and see how it works, and I was the guinea pig, and thank God it was a success. People liked them, and then and it just sort of started it just spun into a business, really.
Fantastic. And well, you're very big on social media, so I want to ask how social media has impacted and helped your business, and also if your business is targeted more at a certain religion, because it's quite conservative, and I'm getting kind of a conservative but very chic Muslim women vibe from it.
People tend to think it's a religious thing, and I say no, because most women these days want to be comfortable in what they're wearing. Part of the magic of Abayalagos is that you can wear your outfit in a multitude of ways. And you're comfortable in what you're wearing, you look expensive, you look chic,
I like that looking expensive part.
Yes, thank you. Basically, every woman likes to feel that way. So ours is just a niche, an identity that we have decided to promote. It's more modest wear than religion. I mean, most religions, if any, all religions, they promote modest wear anyway. So I just thought, well, it's something I like, and a lot of people around me started to like as well, and it's a lifestyle that I'm trying to promote. I think it's catching on well.
I love that you mentioned that a lot of people started to like it as well, because like with most trends anywhere in the world, once somebody introduces it into a culture, then everybody kind of, creates their own version of it. Yes. So how have you maintained your edge in a market where, especially in the fashion sector, the barriers to entry are relatively low? So anybody can kind of come in and start doing something that almost looks like what you're producing. How do you maintain your edge?
Well, I think I have an advantage because I have a design background. And wherever you see an Abayalagos product, it's an Abayalagos product because it's different. People say abaya, kimono. We've got kimonos everywhere. It's an age-old, apparel. You have our own versions of kimonos and outerwears in Nigeria and Africa. You have in the Middle East and you have in the Far East. But what we've done is to try to blend all of these languages and sort of give it a Niger, or should we say African identity on its own. So we're not just using Western fabrics, we're using indigenous fabric as well. So the ashokes, and so on and so forth. I would say that for the moment, there really isn't anything like Abayalagos. You don't find turbans that are funky, that young ladies can wear, that older women can wear, and they just put it on and go. Rather than just, I mean, it's nice to tie, but
it's more time consuming, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more time consuming.
Understandable. And I want to talk about, how you get your products out there. These days, online retail is a very popular means of, selling. So do you sell online? Do you have a store? And, what is the best way you found to get your products into the hands of your clients?
Right. So Abayalagos products are a bit more upmarket, sort of luxury, and so we try to be a bit careful as to how they project on the media, on social media and online. For the moment, we don't do online sales. However, we have a website, www.abayalagos.com, so it's more like a catalog website. We have a store in Victoria Island, and we do stock at select concession stores like Grey Velvet and Zinkata and 41 Lux in Abuja. So people tend to get around to reach to those, yes.
What does the future look like for Abayalagos, beyond Nigeria?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're definitely excited about what's out there for us and the possibilities of blending other African languages, you know, fashion languages with ours. The world is becoming a smaller place, and we're starting to get a really wide platform fashion-wise internationally. So yeah, we're looking at those avenues. We're looking at partnering with some labels outside.
All right, thank you very much for your time.